My principal connection with Ron Hjorth has been in connection with the new law school building. And Ron and I spent a lot of time driving up and down I-5 to Olympia getting legislative approval, a classic legislative battle. And he's, without any experience, he says, he's a very effective lobbyist and really did a very good job down there. And the other part of what he did for the building, of course, was to arrange for the funding, and he was very effective in telling the story of the building and the need for the building and the value of the building to the university at this time.
I'm really happy to be a part of this observation of the wonderful work of Ron Hjorth at the University of Washington Law School. Of course, the thing I'm most familiar with is the terrific job he did in raising money from our alums and the general public to build the building. I really am very doubtful that it would have happened without somebody with his skill and enthusiasm. I particularly think it's worth noting how enthusiastic he was about doing the project. Most people approach problems of that kind and challenges of that kind as being some sort of a huge difficulty, and I actually think that the dean looked on it as a kind of a fun thing. He was always optimistic and enthusiastic about the calls we were making, and it was an enjoyable experience working with him, and of course the outcome has just been spectacular. So congratulations, Dean.
At the time that Ron became the dean, we were facing something of a crisis because the federal funding that supported a number of our clinical programs was being completely zeroed out. And that meant that one of the things that was happening across the country was that a lot of clinicians were actually losing their jobs. And Ron took tremendous leadership in stating that those of us who were on that particular federal funding would continue to have our positions, and he would find hard money to support our positions so that we could continue to do the important work we're doing and continue to offer that opportunity to the law students.
When he shows himself to the students, it's not just being about a dean or an administrator. He shows a very casual side that's so approachable, and I just think he's a great guy, and I really respect him for doing these types of things with the students.
The first thing that I have to say is that he was one of the best teachers that I have had, not just in law school, but I would say in any of the teachers that I've had over all the years that I've been in school, and they have been many because I spent some time in graduate school before law school. And he is just an excellent teacher, motivational, inspirational.
As a friend, I think that he's exceptional. As a faculty colleague, he is absolutely outstanding. As a dean, he has been one of the best deans we have had. He has been good for the law school, and I think the future will indicate that he has been one of the best deans we have had.
I think the legislators who came over here to the Temple of Justice to learn more about the new building plans were impressed with him, and I'm sure that that had a great deal to do with the legislature happily passing the funding package so we can get the new law school here in a year or two.
This last quarter, we were incredibly busy working with the dean on a possible tuition increase, and he took lots of time out of his busy schedule to come and talk to the students and try to help us understand why we needed the tuition increase or what he thought we did. And over several receptions and meetings with students, he spent hours outlining it.
I credit a great deal of what has gone on at the law school and my career with what you've done for me as a student and as an alumni and as a regent. Thank you very much, and we're going to be looking forward to seeing you in your retirement.
My father was in his very first class at the University of Washington School of Law, and my husband and I years later were also students of his and felt that he was a brilliant professor and was the toughest tester in the entire school, even though he won't admit it. It's true. And he's been supportive of me and been someone I've gone to for advice throughout my life and has made a big impact on who I am today.
I have, over my 35 years at the institution, had a number of occasions to see his willingness to inject himself into situations whereby he feels that a faculty or student is in fact suffering from some current difficult situation or problem. He extends himself gracefully. His efforts unquestionably, I think, are helpful in the circumstances. I appreciate it, Ron. I assure you I will never forget it.
Ron Hjorth and I are both tax teachers. In fact, Ron is a great tax teacher. I have sat in on many of his sessions as a CLE instructor and a tax teacher. He has been missed in the classroom, and believe me, he will be welcomed back.
I also am extremely pleased with the work that Ron has done in raising money for the new building. Over half of the building will be library space, and it's not for me, it's for the people who need to use and access the materials that we have in the library, and to find quiet and nice study spaces or places that students can gather to work in group studies. So Ron has done a fabulous job in raising the private funds for this. His sincerity and integrity, I think, are two of his warmest and most important characteristics, and they, I think, affect all of his relationships with the people he deals with on a regular basis, and are characteristics I treasure very much in the Dean of the Law School.
In the morning is when I see him most, because he sits in the kitchen, reads the New York Times, the Seattle PI, drinks at least 5 to 6 cups of coffee, gets pumped for the day, and then does 2 crossword puzzles before trotting off to work.
We should make our society's paramount aim to enable us all to live long in good health, to develop and exercise the best we have within ourselves, and to pass on something of worth to those who come after us. For this to be done requires not only establishing and protecting individual rights, but also performing civic duties to make an effective community that can enable those rights. That you should strive to fulfill your own potential. You should try to put out all of your energies in pursuit of your ends, so that you go to the junkyard with no gas left in your tank.